I came to Kauai on a vacation I was into kite surfing, and I came over here to visit my sister. And I ended up meeting my future husband, which was the last thing I would have ever anticipated.
I have known Ty for about 25 years. I was his Sunday school teacher way back. And then, of course, when he grew up a bit and got married to Ariana, they actually got married in my backyard.
And we found out we were pregnant 6 months later, and we had our daughter, and over time ended up having 5 boys.
So Ezra was the 6th of their kids, and he came in to see me for his regular 6-month checkup. Once we got around to the physical exam, it immediately was apparent that he had a huge solid liver that was way too big.
Then Paul came back in the room and said, we just need to talk. His blood work is just all over the place.
And so then we sent him around for an ultrasound, and it was the ultrasound that really gave us a clue that this was a tumor rather than just a homogeneous mass. And in fact, the radiologist called me to tell me it was the size of a small grapefruit.
But I was in the restroom just kind of getting cleaned up, and Paul was in there, and he kind of looked towards me and he just started crying. So I was like, what's going on? And he said, it's a tumor. So I was kind of shocked, and I said, okay, when's the last time you saw this? And he said, I haven't seen this in 25 years.
So the next step after finding this tumor was to call the hematology oncology people over on Oahu, who would then be able to do a tissue biopsy to come to a diagnosis.
And that's when they diagnosed him with hepatoblastoma, a liver cancer.
So he got diagnosed on March 9th, and by March 18th, he didn't look good, and we brought him in, and that was when they really looked at us and saying, if we don't do something quickly, his tumor is growing so fast at this point that it's pressing on all of his other organs, and we may need to open him up regardless to allow him to breathe well and whatnot. Well, that was my worst moment. Just kind of facing the reality of we don't know if we're gonna see Ezra in the morning. In the morning, I trailed after Ty because I wasn't quite brave enough to go in. And we walked in that room, and they did not have to open him up. They had started chemotherapy with the best knowledge that they had.
We went through 2 months of chemotherapy. He did really well through both of those rounds. But at that time, they did introduce us to the possibility of having to go elsewhere just in case they would have to actually transplant. And that's where we decided to take the move to Seattle. And there we did 2 more rounds, and they removed then the tumor. And the whole time getting follow-up from Dr. Ross and Wilcox, Jensen from Kapiolani, and helping us out even along the way as we were over there and preparing for us even to come home.
They released us on Ty's birthday. And it was really amazing because we got to go home and actually have a real dinner. It was the first time the kids got to touch him and hold him in 6 months.
People ask me, well, how's he doing? I was like, he's a water buffalo, really. I mean, he loves to eat and he's in the water. He's great. You would never know it.
To be able to step into somebody's life and say, this is what your child has, but this is what we can do for him, and to have it come through to the other side and be a success, that really is the reason we do things.
It's amazing to be able to see him run around like a regular little boy that wants to jump off beds and wrestle and do everything else. And there's always what ifs on the horizon with cancer. But to be fearful and to worry about the future is to lose the joy of today. And that no matter what happens, even if it's the worst case scenario, when you have people that love you and you have a community, you're gonna be okay.